what, 3 or 4 years, maybe 4 years now, Kostya?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I've known Konstantin longer than that as well. So, and I recognize a couple of faces here, I think, but I would encourage you too, if you have any questions for me or for Professor Semmingsen, you can always write us in the chat, or you can write us an email, write us on Weblang, however you feel, but please don't be afraid to ask questions. So that is it for me. I'll tell you what I'm actually studying and researching here. So I research language policies, specifically in the South Caucasus, and how they affect ethno-linguistic minorities. So I'm extremely interested in language as a whole. And I know some Russian, and I know some other languages as well. And so I'm very happy to see all of you here today and to work with you more in the future. So, Professor Semmingsen, would you like to take over?
Sure, thanks, Professor Storm. Can you all hear me?
Yep, this sounds good.
Like Professor Storm is a veteran teaching English online. This is my first course. Let's see, I'm Peggy Semmingsen. I live in Arlington, Texas. That's near Dallas, Texas. And I'm a professor at the University of Texas at Arlington. Before that, in my past life, I taught elementary school. I taught children in 3rd grade and 5th grade, and I was a bilingual teacher. I mostly taught in Spanish. So I do speak Spanish. I'd like to learn some Russian. I know a few words. And I think that's it. My area of interest is literacy studies. I'm interested in children who are challenged in reading. I'm interested in dyslexia, students who struggle in reading and writing. And I like teaching online. I teach all my classes online right now. So
that's great. So now that you have all heard a little bit about us, we would really like to get to know you better. So if you could please tell us, of course, who you are, where you work, what your field is, and maybe if you have any hobbies or any other information that you would like to include. And it would be wonderful if you would say why you are interested in academic English and how you plan to use English in your own professions. So maybe we could go ahead and start at the top of the list with Alexander. Alexander, can you tell us a little about yourself?
My name is Alexander. I'm from Omsk. I'm from Siberia. I'm working to Omsk State University. I'm chemist, Doctor of Science, and I'm interested in academic English because from time to time I'm have communication with my colleagues from other country, and English language it's language of communication, so I should know English. And from time to time I write article in English. It's neat, and I write better than I speak, and I should know. I should increase my knowledge in talking English. Well,
Sure. Thank you. That was a really wonderful introduction. So just to make sure I heard correctly, you're a chemist?
Yes, I can.
Chemist. Wow. Okay, I'm taking notes. Taking notes on all of you so I learn what your interests are.
Organic chemist.
Organic chemistry. Okay. it's good to know these things so that later when Professor Semmingsen and I come up with certain reading materials, that way if many of you are interested in similar subjects, we can also try to find readings that you would personally find interesting. So that's why it's important to know that. And Alexandra, do you ever take part in academic conferences too? Do you hope to present at conferences in English?
Yes, from time to time I give lecture in English in conference, but it's less distant.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Well, so I speak English. I speak Russian by English words because I can to think by in English.
Okay. Wonderful. Good to know. Thank you. And maybe now Larissa? Oh, Larissa, ничего не слышу. Sorry, I don't hear anything. Your microphone, I think, might be muted.
Oh. Do you want me to unmute her? Oh, she's good. Okay.
Okay.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
I live in Omsk too. I'm a professor of the Omsk State University. My scientific specialty is Russian language and the language theory of the text, psycholinguistics, theory of speech activity, and associative experiment, semantic experiment, and other job in these deals. I need academic English because I have some plan to use English in my professional communication. It's a need for me to speak in English in Congress of Applied Psycholinguistics, and I want to have professional communication more.
Yeah. And do you plan on publishing articles in English?
Yeah, maybe. It's beautiful to do it, but not really.
I think you will all be able to. Of course, it takes some time, but it's definitely an attainable goal, I would say. So it's very nice to meet you, Larissa. And Marina?
Hello, my name is Marina. I'm 36. I'm an associate professor of the theoretical and general linguistics chair. I decided to take part in this program because I would like to receive skills of communication in the academic sphere and, of course, to learn to write scientific articles in English.
Great. So we have another linguist here. Good.
Yes.
It's nice to meet you. And you said you live and work in Omsk?
Yes, I'm from Omsk.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Wonderful. Olya?
Hello to everybody. My name is Olga, and I also live in Omsk and work in Omsk State University. I am an economist, and I am interested in this course because I want to improve my speaking skills, and I also want to write and publish articles in English.
Great. And you're an econ professor at Omsk State?
I'm not a professor.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So you said you work at Omsk State though?
Yes.
Okay, but you're an economist by profession. Got it. Thank you very much. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And I'm sorry, is Ivanov your last name, or was your first name Dmitry? And I don't see a picture here. I see you.
Hello. My name is Dmitry. Ivanov is my last name. I work in Omsk State University too, and I'm an economist by training. I need to learn academic English because I'm going to publish some articles in English, and I'm going to improve my communication skills in English too with my colleagues from other countries too. And currently I'm preparing to GRE test and TOEFL test, and I need this course just because it's very useful for this goal.
Certainly, yes. For those exams, you definitely need some advanced vocabulary words.
Yeah.
So I think you will come into those, and you'll be introduced to those here, and reading comprehension. So that's a good plan. Nice to meet you, Dmitry.
Nice to meet you, though.
And last but not least, Vladimir.
Hello, my name is Vladimir, and there is some problems with my web camera, and I'm sorry, but I'd like to answer your question. I'm a historian. I work in historian department of Omsk University, and there is a real need in connection with my foreign colleagues. Therefore, I think that the course of academic English would be very useful for me.
Great. Are you interested in a specific period of time?
It's 20th century, the problems of Russian Revolution, but I am a specialist in the history of 20th century without any exceptions, and my students learn many problems of modern history, contemporary history now.
Okay. Great. It's nice to meet you, Vladimir. Hopefully next week, perhaps the problem with the webcam can be resolved.
I hope that will be all right.
Yeah. So do any of you have any questions for Professor Semmingsen or myself?
No, I have no any questions. The real problem is the technique for me now.
Yes. If there are any other questions, anything you would like to know about us or what we're doing now?
I'd like to know everything about forms of communication, of scientific communication, and forms of participating in conferences, and the norms of making our articles, scientific articles.
Certainly. Yes. So what do you think, Professor Semmingsen? Should we go over the elements of the course and the course goals now?
Let's do that. Yeah. Can everyone see the plan of action on the whiteboard?
Does everyone see? Видно, да? Okay, so here we're already at item 3, elements of the course and course goals. So many of you mentioned your interest in academic publishing, participation in academic conferences, these sorts of things, and we are going to be covering these topics over the course of the next 13 weeks. And I'm going to also write off to the side here. So the main components, right, would be oral skills, listening skills, presentation, and reading, right? And these are pretty obvious elements of most language courses that you would come into contact with. But academic English, being what it is, means that the materials you will be interacting with and encountering are sort of a higher level of speech, perhaps different vocabulary than what you might hear on the street, just day to day in America, for example. It's very much academic vocabulary, academic dealings. So it's within that sort of framework that we're going to be encountering these, working on these elements here. And has anyone looked at the syllabus of the course yet? Because I know Kostya sent you an email, perhaps only very recently, but we put together a preliminary syllabus for the course. And so you can see here, from week to week, we've got the lesson themes, what we plan on actually doing in the class, and what your home task will be. Coming up next week, we'll be talking about the different types of academic texts that you might encounter, and the process of academic writing and speaking for the non-native speaker. So you will be also working on training your brain to think in English rather than to think in Russian and attempt to translate from Russian to English, because as we know, that doesn't always work. So it's best to work, to try to think in English and train yourself to think and read and write in that way. We cover some summarization and paraphrasing, quotations, and of course we have to cover the topic of plagiarism and the problems typically encountered in writing. It doesn't matter if you're a native speaker or a non-native speaker. People can have problems with clear and concise writing, right, and complex parts of sentences, things like this. And we're also going to be working on, you will be writing your own text over the course of this 13 weeks. You will be writing an essay. And we are going to break this essay into parts by paragraphs. And you will be posting these paragraphs in the blog, after which time Professor Semmingsen and I will review your paragraphs, and we also would like you to review each other's, so that at the end of the course, you will have something original that you have written yourself on some subject that you find interesting. And you will also be giving presentations. So this could be useful if you're looking at presenting at an academic conference in English. The presentations will happen towards the end of the 13 weeks. Week 13, for example, maybe we could even start it with week 12. We will see. And Professor Semmingsen, did I miss anything? Is there anything we should add?
The length of the final essay, did we say that was 8 to 10 paragraphs as a goal? I think. We need to, Kostya, what did we say for that? Do you remember? 10. That's what I remember.
I'm sure it was.
You mean the size of this essay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about 1,000 or 1,200 words.
Yes, okay. That's right. Yeah, so the length of your final essay will be between 1,000 and 1,200 words. So whatever amount of paragraphs that ends up being for you, but paragraphs are typically at minimum 4 sentences usually, right? So you will be coming up with something original. We will be helping you with this, helping you to edit your paragraph so that the final product is more polished. And again, we also want another important part of this course to be peer review, that you will be looking at each other's work and critiquing it, providing feedback and suggestions. This is another important part of the course. So does anyone have any questions about what we will be doing this semester, or any suggestions? Is there anything you would like to do that you did not see included? Anyone? I see a lot of microphones are muted.
I have no idea.
Sorry, Alexander?
I have no suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so does this, hopefully this plan looks good to everyone. What we did when coming up with this syllabus is we tried to include many of the elements that are typically taught in academic English courses, but being that you are all business or you are all work in academia yourselves, it's a little bit different than what might be taught, for example, undergraduate students, things like this. So we don't need to teach you how to take notes to do this and that, because you already work in academia. You already know these things. So we tried to choose the most important elements that should be most useful to you to include in 13 weeks. So again, I would like to reiterate, if you ever have questions about a particular assignment or something we have said, please ask questions. If you don't want to interrupt the speech, like now when I'm specifically talking, if you don't want to talk to me now, you can always write in the chat and I can see your question as well. Or again, send messages on WebElang, contact Konstantin, contact Professor Semmingsen or myself. But please do not be afraid to ask questions. Professor Semmingsen, is there anything else?
I don't think so. Did we want to mention that their writing should be posted to the blog or the club by Sunday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Monday, right? Sunday or Monday? Monday.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we have a very important request. We ask that your blog posts be in the blog by midnight Monday. Midnight Omsk time on Monday evening. This is because we need to have plenty of time to review your work and to provide you with feedback, because we also have other courses that we are doing as well. So please remember, 48 hours before class, the blog post should be there, okay? And that way you can be sure you will get feedback on your work.
That was it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Yes, so one of the first things we are going to begin with is an elevator speech. An elevator speech. Does anyone have an inkling or an idea of what this means? An elevator speech. Does anybody have
Professor Storm, do we have some people still muted?
I think they are. They can unmute themselves.
Oh, okay. Just be sure everyone's unmuted.
Yes.
Let me just make a note about muting and unmuting. I think it's always desirable to have headphones to avoid any echo or like background noise. And sometimes if I hear that the background noise interrupts the speaker, I have to mute your microphones. But you can always unmute them anytime you want. But just be aware that if you don't use headphones, it's very likely that we will receive some background noise from your side, from your end. Okay? That's why maybe if you don't use headphones, then you can mute yourself if you don't speak. When you start speaking, of course, unmute yourself and speak up. Okay?
So can you install this program on other computer?
Yes, you can install if you use I think you need to install some plugin, and you can use it on any other computer.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding technical issues or things of that nature before we move on? Does everyone have headphones, by the way? Yes, sorry. I heard someone begin to speak. Someone did. Who was it? Dimitri, was it you?
About elevator speech?
Sure. Have you ever encountered this term before?
Yes, I hope I know what is it. It's not a suggestion. I know that it's a short speech about myself when I describe my knowledges, my background, and maybe my opportunities.
Yes, yes. It's perhaps not as much background, because imagine the context. Imagine the context. You are on an elevator. You have to make a very short speech about yourself because maybe you only have 30 seconds. So you have to make that 30 seconds count. So what kind of, so now what I'm wondering is, in what situations might you need an elevator speech? I want everybody to give me an idea. When might you use an elevator speech? So obviously if you're on an elevator, but with whom? I'll start picking on people.
Do you want me to go first, or should we wait?
Why don't you can take over for a bit.
Sure. At conferences, sometimes, even if we're not formally presenting, I've met people in the lounge area, as we call it, maybe like the coffee shop, and someone says, well, what do you do? Or what do you study? And it's an opportunity to network. And so during that networking or meeting people in maybe semi-formal settings, I'm often thinking about how to share my ideas in a concise way. I met a colleague from Australia at a conference, and we shared about ourselves, and we ended up doing a research project together with our classes. And so that would be a good time to do an elevator speech, almost like you're trying to convince someone that what you do is interesting, but also share about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think networking is like, I guess you'd call it informal, but it's sort of formal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can make an elevator speech in different contexts. It could be an informal context where, perhaps like Professor Semmingsen said, you meet somebody at a coffee shop. You want to know what that person's interests are, what they do for a living. Or perhaps you step on an elevator with your boss or with someone you would like to work with in the future, a company you would like to work for. And so what sort of information might you tell these people? Imagine it's a formal situation. Imagine it's a formal situation, or imagine you meet Professor Semmingsen or myself on an elevator, and you're meeting us for the first time. What might you tell us about yourself? What might you tell us about yourself? We'll see who we haven't heard from. Marina? What information is included in an elevator speech?
In 30 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
About me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm linguist. I'm research in advertising sphere, such as advertising in social sphere.
Mm-hmm.
I like traveling, dancing, singing.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So it's got the most basic but yet important information, because you might only have 30 seconds until the person gets off of the elevator. So Marina told us who she was, what she does, her profession, and something interesting about herself, what her interests are. And that's perfect for an elevator speech. So as we know, we could talk about ourselves for a very long time, about everything that we do, everything that we're interested in, but you must keep it to a maximum of 30 seconds. So please keep this in mind. Let's everybody try an elevator speech. So Professor Semmingsen, would you like to pair up with me and we can do an example?
Sure. Okay, so we role play that we're meeting each other and
Yes.
pose a question. Okay, I'll ask you the question first. Okay, so ding, we're in the elevator, and hi, Professor Storm. I've heard you do some interesting research. I heard it's about language policies, but tell me more.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in researching the language policies of Georgia and their largest ethno-linguistic minority group there. So I study Georgian language policy, but I'm interested in many other languages as well, and I also teach English on the side. So Professor Semmingsen, I've heard that you live and work in Texas. Can you tell me what you do?
Sure. I study children. I'm interested in children who have trouble reading. I've always noticed children that have trouble reading, it's a very complex situation. So I study the family context where that occurs and how parents can help, or how the schools and the families interact and help the child. And that's all done through interview studies primarily. And I also do narrative research, guides my methodology.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Oh, I just thought of something.
Yeah.
ADP, sometimes with academic talk, we talk about a big question that we want to answer. So sometimes I've heard people say, I really want to know why children struggle with reading. So I know that that's another way to frame your elevator speech, is like a big question you want to answer. Sometimes.
And it's nice to throw in something in your elevator speech that really grabs the person's attention, so that they want to hear more. And again, it's one of those nice situations where it's nice to have business cards on hand so that you can say, here, contact me in the future. So now let's try this with all of you, but I would like we're going to assume that you all don't know each other. So you're stepping on an elevator with someone that you don't know. So you have to also start with your name. So let's begin with Alexander and Dimitri, please. Ding!
Hello, Dmitry. I think from time to time we see each other in university, because you're from Ulm State University. You work in the two buildings in Ulm State University. Yes? Okay.
Oh, yes.
I work in first building, but
well, to make your job easier, Dimitri should have said, oh, really? That's interesting. What do you do? So Dimitri, take the opportunity to get to know Alexander. You're on an elevator. You want to know more about him and his work.
Oh. No, it's very interesting. What do you do?
What are you doing?
Yes.
No.
No.
What I do in my work?
Yes.
In your work,
yes. I chemist, organic chemist. My work is synthetic organic chemistry. I am specialist in the field of conjugated molecules. These molecules used in organic electronics. It's field of multidisciplinary, it's new field in science, which includes other physicist, chemist, and others. Other specialists. Specialists from other part of science.
Okay, now turn the tables. Now turn the tables to Dmitry. Now Dmitry, you say, "Oh, yeah."
Oh yeah, and could you tell about your interests? What is interesting for you?
My interest? What?
Yes.
Oh, I'd like to read. I'd like to fish. I'd like to road to drive very quickly.
Likes to drive very quickly. Okay, good. So it's a very good example, but we must remember elevator speech. Because pretty soon somebody's going to go, ding, oh, this is my floor. Okay, it was nice to meet you. Bye. So, okay, very nice, very nice. Now we're going to go to Vladimir. Are you there? Vladimir and Larissa. Remember, both of you have to learn about each other. You tell about yourself, then you politely ask about the other person. Larissa and Vladimir, your microphones are both muted.
So we're taking turns in conversation?
Yes, don't forget to take turns in conversation.
Like throwing a ball?
Yes. Microphones are muted, guys. Kostya, can you? Vladimir, can you unmute your microphone? And Larissa?
Oh, yeah.
I hear you. Huh? Vladimir?
Vladimir, where are you? What are you doing, Vladimir?
Okay, maybe we'll pair up Larissa with Marina.
Marina?
And you don't know Marina. Pretend.
Yeah, I know Marina. Marina was my student.
No, pretend.
Some years ago.
Pretend. Pretend that you don't know.
So, Marina, what are you doing? What are you interested in? Tell me, please.
Larissa Olegovna, do you mean about in the professional sphere?
Yeah, in professional sphere. In professional sphere. I think that I don't know you.
Okay, I'm linguist, and I teach in Omsk State University. I teach stylistic and Russian language in different faculties. I teach a future specialist in the sphere of advertising. And now I'm interested in touristic sphere.
Oh, yeah. It's very interesting.
It's very interesting for me.
Especially in the philologist faculty. It's our touristic sphere, is our sphere. The sphere of philology. Marina, tell me, please, is your scientific interest and studies interested the same interests?
In what sphere?
In studying and in scientific sphere. You have the same interest and the different interests.
My research interests concern intertextuality, discursivity and polycode text
Polycode text. Mhm.
in Mediasphere.
Is the polycode text the special object of philology? And what do you think about the polycode text?
I think that polycode text is the sphere of semiology.
Oh boy. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Please don't forget. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. And Marina, you must ask Larissa, so what is it that you do? So that you must turn the tables on Larissa so that you make Larissa tell about herself. In 30 seconds. I'm
Very
going
interesting.
to start using my stopwatch.
I was going to say, maybe we should time.
Okay. And now I'm going to get on I'm on the elevator with Larissa. And 30 seconds. Oh, hello there. I've seen you around here. So what is it that you do and what is your name?
For me? My name is Larissa. I live in Omsk, and I am a professor and I'm a teacher of Russian language. My students are the взрослые люди. Grown adults, people. And I prepare native language for him, for all. And what do you think about? I have many scientific interests.
Okay, yeah. So now imagine how difficult this can be, because Larissa gave a very concise, a very good elevator speech. But imagine 51 seconds. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Yeah, but that was very good. And let's try now with maybe Professor Semmingsen. Do you and Olya want to try?
Sure. Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I'll time.
Okay, great.
Perhaps you can engage Olya.
Yeah. Olya, hi. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. What about you?
Good. Tell me about your research. What do you do?
My interests in my research are connected with human resource management and labor economics. And what about your professional interests?
Oh, that was good. Very short. I am a university professor at University of Texas at Arlington. I primarily train teachers. I train teachers preparing to be teachers, and I train graduate students. My area is literacy, or how students learn to read and write and speak. But I mostly teach online, and I research as well. I didn't really talk about research today.
It sounds very interesting.
Very great. You guys kept that at right about a minute, so that was very good. You could have even included, Olya, you could have included maybe even perhaps at least one more thing about yourself, something perhaps extra about your work or your research, or even something about your other external interests, things like this. You could have included that. So imagine, it sounds simple, but yet it's difficult keeping it to 30 seconds. I have a link that talks about the art of an elevator speech. It actually is, here it's referred to as an elevator pitch, because it's assumed that you meet an important executive, for example, in New York City. And that's why that 30 seconds is extremely important, because they're getting off the elevator. And maybe you need funding for something. Maybe you want a job, and you have to do it very quickly. You have to be to the point and something that grabs their attention. The reason that we are doing this now, and we're beginning with this, is this is also going to be a part of your homework for next week. So part of your homework for next week is going to be to come up with your own 30-second elevator speech for class. So this means that when you write it, we also want you to time it to make sure that your elevator speech is not too long. And this is something that when you come to America, or if you speak with an English-speaking colleague, you will use an elevator speech in English. It will be useful for you in your professional lives. So it's important that you have something brief and concise. Okay? So that will be one of the tasks for next week. And again, if you're interested in the elements of an elevator speech and what specifically to include, what not to include, there is that link in the chat.
I think I have a YouTube video that where I do this, and I can post that too.
That would be really good. We can include that in the assignments so they can actually see. I was trying to find a good one, and I'm happy to hear you have one because I couldn't find it.
Yeah, mine's about a minute though. It was hard. It's hard to make it really short.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but that'll be good. That'll be good. And the next thing we're going to talk about today was biographies, which is it makes a lot of sense since we were just talking about an elevator speech. But how does a biography differ from an elevator speech? Who haven't we heard from very much, anyway? Vladimir, are you there? No? Darn. Maybe we can hear from one of the ladies, from Larissa, or Marina, or Olya. Give me the difference between a biography and an elevator speech.
My biography must be much more longer than an elevator speech.
Yes, naturally. And the biography is written, right? Biography is written, whereas your elevator speech is oral. It's spoken. So there's also, whenever I think of biography, I also think of autobiography. Autobiography versus biography. Now who can tell me the difference? Marina?
Biography and autobiography. Autobiography, it's a brief story about my life.
Yeah, it's a story that one writes about one's own life. It's not usually brief, right? It's usually longer. An autobiography, many people, there are books that are autobiographies, for example. A biography can also be personal, but the biography tends to be shorter. Where might you find a biography? Where might you see a biography? Dimitri, where might you encounter a biography? Imagine. Give me some ideas. You can see these in different places.
In a book, or in the internet, in Wikipedia.
Exactly. Yes, you can see them everywhere. So they might be in a book, or even on a website. You might see a biography of the person who started the website, or even a journalist. At the end of an article, you might see her biography or his biography. So it's the most important information to get to the audience. I encountered this term, personal branding. Personal branding. It's a way to sell yourself in a way. You're selling yourself to make someone more interested in you, your work, what it is you do, your site, your product, anything. Professor Semmingsen, did you want to take over with the biography from here?
Yeah, I have an example. I teach online, and it's hard to get to know somebody across time and space. So I always put my biography. I just put my YouTube video in there too, and we'll post it, and I'll email it too. I like to do video biographies, but this is my written biography from my syllabus. I try to include a picture of me teaching so they can visualize, what I do. And then I think the way this works, they can scroll down. If I scroll down, theirs doesn't necessarily as far as moving down the page.
Yeah, you guys will need to scroll to read all of Professor Semingson's biography.
But just real quick, with my video biography, I actually use my iPad to make that. I sometimes write a script for that. I usually write an outline, but I don't always write word for word what I'm going to say. Just a side note, it's always interesting to think about how the ways we do things with technology is different from the written word. But here's my more traditional biography, like this would be in my syllabus or at the end of a book chapter. And what's great about this biography is I can recycle it, if you will. I can reuse it. I can shorten it, modify it, use it in different scenarios. And it just has my basic information, so it tells where I teach. So that's always how I start my biographies. And then because I train teachers, I need to share that I have experience teaching children, so I have that credibility, if you will. So I always put that in there because not all teacher educators have been in the classroom, and I think it's important to share that information. So I taught bilingual students in Southern California and Texas, so they can visualize where I was. And then my credentials, master's degree in reading from Texas State in 2004, and then my PhD at University of Texas at Austin in 2008. I don't know why we put when we got our degrees. Some people leave that out. But I think I just do that out of habit. And then get into the aspects of my experience. So I present at local, state, national conferences on the following topics: literacy learning, bilingual best practices. I try to use a little bit of buzzwords. I try to use the terms that are used a lot, like best practices, although I think that term has fallen out of favor. I think that term is not used so much anymore, so I actually need to update this and maybe say, you know, some other term. But anyway, I try to incorporate some words that resonate with people that they'll connect to and go, oh yeah, that kind of thing. And then I share, you know, what most people are interested in and how we're judged and evaluated is where we've published. And so I pick my most recent publication, and again, this part probably can use some updating. And I also want to add, I have written this in the third person. So I wrote it as if someone else had written it, which is kind of odd, isn't it? We write about ourselves from a distance. And I think that you could also write it as first person, but it seems like, yeah, it seems like isn't that the way it's done now that I think about it?
Yeah. So biographies are typically written in the third person. It definitely seems more professional that way to write them in the third person. So please remember this, that they are generally written in the third person.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, we never really say I, but we usually talk about ourselves as if someone else was writing it. Let's see. So back to where I was. So I write about my most recent publications, not everything, maybe just some highlights, or actually in this case, just whatever I'm most proud of, or that ties in with, okay, I forgot about the arrow, that ties in with my research agenda. So Teachers College Record is a very prominent journal at Columbia, and I wanted to highlight that piece. It's sort of out there. If you Google my name, it'll probably pop up. And then I talk about my research theme, or the big idea that I'm really interested in. I'm interested in families and communities and how they help children who struggle with reading. Struggle is probably not a good word to use, so I rephrase it to be, you know, proper. And then I also put my general broad interests, which is what we were just doing with the elevator speech. So I'm also interested in digital pedagogies, or online learning, and the way that builds community. So I kind of have two agendas. I could have just focused on one, I suppose, but I'm a complex person. And then I wanted to highlight just a few things that make me unique, like my award. So I presented about, I went to Harvard, And then at the end, it's just more I guess for me, I always want to include my philosophy. And so some belief statements help. So I believe that students bring unique strengths to school. I have colleagues who focus on social justice as a theme. I don't. I mean, I'm interested in it, of course, but it's not my driving force. And so while it fascinates me, I don't particularly study social justice, although I guess I do. Anyway, long story short, I present my beliefs or ideologies, like students skilled on strengths is a belief I have that drives my research. And then at the end, I always like to include like a interesting thing or a piece of me about my personal life. I'm a twin. I have an identical twin and a 4-year-old niece. She's actually just turned 6, and I lived in Alaska, Southern California, Texas. I like to swim, cook, read. This is very long, isn't it?
Well, that was the next thing I was going to get to too, is that biographies tend to be within the range of 1 to 3 paragraphs, right? Usually. And I encountered online someone used the term microbiography, short biography, and long biography. So the microbiography, I've seen this for someone with a Twitter account, for example. It was 1 sentence long. So a microbiography would be something that is less than 1 paragraph. A short biography would be 1 paragraph, and a long biography would be from usually 2 to 3 paragraphs long. So what we've just seen is Professor Semingson's regular standard biographies. Standard biographies are typically 3 paragraphs long. It's a longer biography, right? Yeah. So what we're going to ask you to do for next week is we're going to ask you to write in the blog a short biography, which is about 1 paragraph about yourself. That is going to be what you're going to do. And in preparation for that, we need to recap on the most important elements of the biography. What did we say first that is essential in a biography? Everybody tell me something that you must include in your biography, professional biography, and about how it should be written. Let's start maybe at the top of the list again. Alexandra, can you give me something?
Okay. My biography.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Not specifically your biography, about the elements of a biography in general. What a biography must include.
I don't
Bob, share. What must there be in a biography? So, for example, how is the biography written? Is it written, I do this, 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 this. I am this, this, this. How do we write it?
In the third person.
Third person.
He is.
Yes. So biographies are written in the third person. So we would say, yes, Dr. Semmingson graduated from.
He's an assistant.
Exactly, because this seems more professional. What else do we need to include, Alexander? What else must be in a biography?
Where defined my PhD thesis.
Where you defended your PhD thesis, okay. Where you defended your PhD. Oops, sorry, this keyboard is different. Okay, where you defended your PhD, so where the university from which you graduated. What else? Dimitri? Your microphone is muted. What else?
It should include the information about education, degrees, about current activities.
So does anybody remember what Professor Semmingson called this? Information about education or degrees. It started with a C, your credentials.
But the publications,
Yes, your publications.
The main scientific ideas and the main goal of professional work.
Your main professional goals, your research or professional interests.
some information about hobbies. I think.
Hobbies. Yeah, so towards the end, usually that's towards the end of the biography. Something personal, or not too personal, but something that makes the biography more personable. Something that adds an element of personality to the biography. It makes it seem more human. Also,
what is your academic experience?
Perfect. Experience in the field.
Experience in the field.
So it could be in academia, could be academic experience, or if you are a lawyer, your experience.
Experience.
Yep. Yes.
What course do you give for students?
Disciplines.
Yes. Your discipline. So again, that would be your field of work. Your field of work. Also, if you're a teacher, if you're a professor, you could say, if you are a professor, you might include the courses that you teach. And also what I have seen is at the end of the biography, there should always be some form of contact information. Perhaps a website, if you have a personal website, or an email address, along those lines. So now...
Where did you work?
Yes. So that could be also included in work experience in the field where you've worked before. Professor Semmingsen also included, which along with, credentials and publications, other things that you're very proud of. If there are a couple of accomplishments that you're most proud of, you might include them there. So accomplishments. Just a few.
Accomplishments.
Accomplishments. Does everybody understand this word? Yes. Accomplishments. Pardon this. I don't know. I included. Just write accomplishments here. I apologize. I'm using a Finnish keyboard, and sometimes I mistype. See, I can always include these letters if I'm not careful, and luckily we don't have those in English because they're very difficult to pronounce. So let's give you some other examples. How to look good on paper. Okay, you will need to go first. Does everybody see the tab? How to look good on paper. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes? So click on the tab, How to Look Good on Paper. And then immediately under How to Look Good on Paper, there are page numbers. So you need to be able to see page number 2. Do you see it? Page number 2, yes. And you will scroll down until you see the first biography of Mark Levy. Does everyone see the biography of Mark Levy? Okay, perfect. Let's go over this. So also we've got the picture here, and let's see what it is Mark Levy does. who would like to, maybe Larissa, would you like to read maybe 2 sentences?
Mark Levy is the founder of Levy Innovation, a marketing strategy firm. David Merriman Scott has called him a positioning guru extraordinary, and Debbie Well referred to him as a horse whisperer for writers and business thinkers. He was written for the New York Times and has written or co-created 5 books. His latest is a revised, expanded, and resubtitled edition of his bestseller, Accidental Genius, using writing to generate you-based ideas, insight, and content. Mark also creates magic things and shows. His work has been performed off Broadway, in Las Vegas, and on all the major television networks. Visit him and read his blog at levyinnovation.com.
Yes, perfect. So, do you all know how to use your pointers? Do you know how to use your pointers? Now, I would like you to, first of all, Professor Semmingson wrote in the chat, he has a slogan. He has a slogan of what he is known for. Can anybody point these out to me? What are his slogans? What people have called him? Maybe you can underline this even, or use your arrow, your pointer.
Horse, what?
Whisperer.
Horse whisperer for rights and business thinkers.
There's one slogan. What's the other slogan?
A positioning guru extraordinary.
A guru extraordinary.
Exactly. And what are his accomplishments?
Accomplishments has written and so created 5 books.
Ideas and content.
So those are his most well, not actually most recent. So this is these are his accomplishments. His most recent, as we see, is his latest is revised, expanded, and resubtitled edition, Accidental Genius, right? And I see Dimitri showing us something. Dimitri, what are you pointing to?
Mark also creates magic tricks and shows.
Yeah, so this adds an element of personality, something interesting about him that other people might not know, his interests, right? And something he's proud of. Another thing he's proud of, his work has been performed off Broadway in Las Vegas and on all the major television networks. And is there a way that we can contact him? Yeah, if we go to his blog, there's surely...
visit him, blog address.
Exactly. So would you say, in your opinion, is this a successful biography?
Yes.
A successful biography should be one that you read and you are interested in learning more about the person.
Yes. Successful biography. It's very interesting. And this biography make us too interested in this person.
It piques your interest, and I like the way it's written, yes. And so now we're going to go to page 3 about graphic designer Jacob Cass. And there is one typical thing that we wouldn't do. He does one thing that we suggest you do not do. As we read this, hopefully you can tell me. Let's have somebody else read. Do we have a volunteer? Somebody different? Vladimir?
Strategic, multidisciplinary designer and art director with an eye for innovation and pixel perfection. I worked the gamut of clients: Disney, Red Bull, Nike, and Star Wars, to name a few. And although my skill set is vast, my greatest expertise revolve in the worlds and interactive design, UX, social media, brand identity design, content creation, and print collateral. My wish is to combine my knowledge and experience in these areas to deliver the best creative to my employees, clients, and their audiences. I have a strong personal following of over 42,000 Twitter followers and 30,000 blog subscribers. I also love coffee.
Great, great. So is there anything you notice here that is different from the last one?
It's written from first person.
Yes, yes. And generally we would say do not do this, but perhaps this graphic designer has his own personal website, maybe, and then this could be appropriate if it is on your own personal website. Perhaps then it is okay, but generally it should be written. Jacob Cass, or whatever his name was, has worked the gamut of clients. Although his skill set is vast, his greatest expertise revolves in the worlds of interactive design and so on and so forth, right? And so we see here his experience in the field, right? And how do we know about his experience in the field? What elements show this? Yeah, we know some of the clients that he's worked with, and he tells us about his skill set and his expertise. And what about his goal?
My wish is to combine my knowledge.
And then, do you see anything else that he's proud of?
No, I have a strong personal phone.
So apparently he's proud of that.
I also love coffee.
Yes, I love coffee too. Yes.
I love coffee too.
Yes, coffee is very important. Very important. So you can stay up long enough to write these biographies. Yes.
Quantity of Twitter followers and blog subscribers is the main proud of him.
Maybe.
Yes, yes. I'm sort of anti-Twitter, so I don't know how you feel about this, Professor Semmington, but are you a Twitter fan?
No, I like YouTube. I think people need to see you and hear you, and so my favorite social media is YouTube. Yeah.
But apparently, especially among younger people, Twitter, I know Twitter is really popular. I've sort of kind of refused just because most often it's something, look what I'm eating for breakfast this morning, or
something that dull.
Yes, yeah. And then this next one is what we could call a micro biography. Would somebody volunteer to read the next one, number 3? Anyone? I know it's short. This will be the last thing we do. Who hasn't read? Let's hear from Dmitry.
Laura Zeman grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, where she felt she never quite fit in.
Oh, sorry. Note number 3, the micro biography.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Was born.
I was born when I got my first computer. Then I started writing funny tweets. That's still what I'm doing. The end.
Yep. So apparently that's his Twitter bio.
Biography.
Micro biography. So if you have a Twitter account and you want a micro bio, okay, that could work. That could work. Most people can't say what they want to say or what they need to say in 140 characters, but okay. To each his own. And this next one, unfortunately we don't have time to read this next one, but I will put I can include what I will do is in your homework assignment, I will include the link. We'll have some useful links that you can read this later if you choose to. And, sorry, loud feedback. There's also about the author who wrote this piece. It's very good as well. And so if you are looking for some guidance when you are writing your biographies, I would recommend that you view this page, and Professor Semmingsen will share some links as well when we post the homework assignment. So Kostya showed you where your homework assignment will be posted. It will be posted in the blog of the club, and please remember 48 hours before class so that we have enough time to provide you with feedback. So I believe that is all for today. We have accomplished everything we needed to accomplish. And so these will be your 2 homework tasks. So you will find these in the blog. You will find these in the blog. And remember that next time, 30 seconds, we will time you. We will time you 30 seconds. Yes, yes, for your elevator speech. You should practice it.
Can I suggest something?
Please.
Do people have a recording device where they could record themselves and listen to it?
Yeah, perhaps when you practice, you could record yourselves on your phone or on your computer.
I use sometimes my voice app, and then I can record myself and then listen to it. If you want to do that. Or practice with a person in your house.
That's a good way to do it, because you want to minimize the empty spaces. You want to take out you want to take out those words. You need to fill that empty space with information about yourself. That's why it's important to practice. So Professor Semmingsen and I will post your assignment within the next 48 hours. Your assignment likely will be visible actually within the next 24 hours. We will have this posted in the blog for you to begin working on. Okay, does anyone have any questions, comments, anything for right now, anything at all? Any questions?
I just wanted to show a couple more things about the site. I will share my screen. So we have this. You have a personal profile page on the Babylon where you can. This isn't. Just a second. So you can upload your picture where you can connect with other people on the site, and also there you have 2 tabs that could be important. One tab is called упражнения, the exercises, and another one is мои занятия. So for example, I can show you my profile. So here you can see упражнения and мои занятия. After each class, we are going to give you grades and leave you comments. So you can see the teacher's comments and the grades that you get after each webinar or after homework that you have done. And also your attendance will be marked. So you will get this kind of short comments by the teacher about your webinar, but you will have more extended comments in the blog. And exercises. You can do different exercises on grammar or vocabulary on the site. Maybe if you have any suggestions about maybe grammar, you can send me a message and ask if you want to get some more exercises on a specific topic or grammar topic. and you will access your statistics of how well you performed in different exercises on the site. So yeah, that's all what I was going to say. Like use your profile, use the site as much as possible, and stay in touch with us. Send us messages, give your comments, what you would like to learn from the course, and so on. Okay.
Great.
Okay.
So Professor Semmingsen and I will work on posting that assignment there for you. Any other questions? No questions?
No
Paul?
question.
No.
Okay. Well, it was wonderful meeting all of you. Very nice to meet you, and I hope that you enjoyed today's lesson, and I hope that it was useful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Very much.
Thank you.
very